Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the second mock session of IPL training. My name is Afreen and I'm going to be chairing this round. Judging along with me is Priyanshi. The motion of the round reads this house would ban personal accolades in team sports. With that, I would like to invite the first speaker from Side Proposition to start the debate. Here.
I'm Vedant Abhyankar. My pronouns are he/him, and my preferred method of taking POIs is through the chat. So in case you have any POI, just enter them in the chat, and I will look through them. Okay, so my time starts in 3, 2, 1. Judge, to give me an offline roadmap. First off, I'm going to be talking about a case. And if time permits, I'm going to be preempting a few of our opponent's points, and I'm going to be rebutting. Okay, so now our first point is it gives one person an accolade of the team. So first off, let's start off by defining the motion itself. The motion, the motion states the motion states that this house would ban personal accolades in team sports. And what's important to notice here is the word team sports. What is the meaning of team sports? It is where two teams are going against each other, two or more teams are going against each other, and a team essentially means a group of people playing a certain sport together. So immediately you can see we narrowing down. So like sports like chess, tennis, etc., they're one-on-one sports mainly, and so they don't really count. And now this brings us on to our first point. Now, it is important to realize that you can't just give one person of the team all the credit. Let's take an example from football. So, to get a goal, you need somebody to supply you the ball, and that person is called the assister. So, if you don't have that assister with you, you can't score the goal. And so, essentially, if you get personal accolades in these sports, it is bad because you're taking somebody else's credit, hard work. It is equally your credit and hard work, but it isn't morally correct to be taking their credit and hard work to sending it through the drain, destroying their publicity, and then taking all of the credit for yourself. Because sure, you did score the goal, but if it wasn't for the ball that was passed to you, you wouldn't have scored the goal and you wouldn't have won the game. So like that, personal accolades aren't really that good in this scenario, because first off, they take away the credit of one person and they just give it to the other person. And so this brings us on to our second point: is creating a rivalry between two or more players. And basically, if you help a person score a goal, or if you help the person get to where they are, and if you help them in the sport itself, you would also want to get a bit of credit for that. But through personal accolades, essentially you're saying, oh, this is all my work. You were not a part of this. You never helped me. You are non-existent in my publicity. And essentially what this does is it creates rivalry between the players. It causes more friction in the club, which is bad, because a team is a group of players that has to work together if they want to come together and achieve the common goal of, at the end of the day, winning the game. And if you have two people with conflicting interests playing on the same team, there is a lot more friction in the locker room. There is a lot exponentially more pressure, and the team will crumble because two star players are going against each other, or two important players in the team are going against each other. So if you have this rivalry, it is bad for the team. It is bad for everybody on the team. So okay, I'll take the POI now.
Yeah, so how is it bad for the team when this rivalry is actually making every player play better so that they can get that personal merit? So isn't that improving the team's performance? How is that bad exactly?
Look, when a person wants all of that personal merit, they are going to play selfishly. They aren't going to allow others to come into their personal merit. And because of the selfish aspect of this, the fact that players, like even human, like the human mind is built on greediness. It is built on greediness. So it is a natural human instinct to be greedy. And in a team, it is important to control that. But when you have a rivalry, it is impossible to control that impulse. And because of that, the team will fall. Everybody will be playing for themselves. They won't be playing for the team. They won't be playing for the players. They won't be playing for the fans. They'll be playing for themselves. And because of that, they'll be exponentially more selfish, which leads to a lot of losses for both sides. Okay. And for those reasons, I rest my case. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that wonderful speech, inviting the first speaker from opposition to start their case here.
Yeah, can I get 30 seconds?
Just a point of personal privilege. I don't know if that works in parliamentary or not. But I missed a part of the PM speech because I had a power cut. So can you just repeat the first part of his speech?
I mean, if you want, you can just get like the points that they actually presented. If you want, I can tell you the points, like just the arguments, because I think it's going to like. So I think the first argument that they gave is that, it essentially gives credit to one person in the team, and that's not justified. Second argument that they talked about is about creation of rivalry, and then how friction essentially in a team is bad. And then a POI was asked as to like why it would not lead to better performance. And the answer was that, they would play selfishly.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll start now. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we are the opposition. I'll be starting with rebuttals. First of all, the proposition PM focus on there will be I'll be rebutting the first argument that there will be many categories, not only one, so that we are not destroying someone's publicity is simply not true, because there is not only one category. Second, you talk about rivalries. So the rivalry is what attracts people, because people love competition. They like to see more competition. So that it's destroying the sportsman's publicity and that stuff is not true again. The proposition is again and again repeating that the rivalry is only focusing on the sports person, not the second stakeholder of the debate, the audience, the people. And now I'll be moving on to my main argument. Okay. What are accolades given for? It's a recognition of something superlative you have done. The stakeholders in the debate are sportsmen and the audience, the people that watch sports. My two arguments are that, first of all, the incentive of the sports person. If you achieve something on your own, you are remembered on that, not for what your team was, but that you have won something so special. And this is because it's important, because a person has a life of its own. So after you are too old to play for the sport, the person will be known on what he has won, and will like to be known as what he has won, not from what team he came from. Secondly, the people will stop watching sports because they're like the rivalry will stop. It will be team against team, because, for example, Messi and Ronaldo are very, very well-known rivals, and people watch them just for knowing. And if we just switch to teams and teams, it's not going to be that much fun. So let me make my stance clear. We are not banning team accolades, but if you stop giving personal accolades, we won't be able to highlight the best players in the team. And I also want to mention that we will increase personal accolades, but we won't cancel them. We won't cancel team accolades, just decrease it. Then after a while, we'll increase the ratio and make it all equal. With this, I hope that you can understand, this will help bring the team together to work harder to bring that accolades towards them. And I'll be taking a POI if you have any.
Why is such an incentive not present on the proposition side if the people are actually focused only upon getting a team trophy, and this rivalry is present between teams rather than inside a team itself?
I'm sorry, I don't get a question. You're asking a question or making a statement?
Why is it important for side opposition to actually establish player-to-player rivalry, whereas team-to-team rivalry is already existent and is actually much more exciting for the public at large to gain the sort of viewership that you want?
Okay, I think I mentioned that if we give personal accolades, the team will be more famous. The team will more be famous because it will be known for having a person in its team that has won that particular award, not because the whole team is just doing that best. And also, I also mentioned that if a person wins a personal accolades on his own, he will be known for that, not for what the team is. So that I think that is important, being known on your own name, not someone other team's name. So with this, I rest my case. Thank you.
I thank speaker for that wonderful speech, inviting the second speaker from proposition to extend from side proposition here.
I'll just take about 30 seconds to take my notes. Just for everyone's reference, I'll be taking POIs by chat. Secondly, I would though stop in the middle of my speech, so you can tell me at that point as well. Um, just setting up a timer. Right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Panel, what I'll be doing in my speech right now is pushing forward two key rebuttals to the opposition's case, pushing forward a stakeholder analysis over which stakeholder is actually more important, and thirdly, giving a new argument as to why is it important for these teams to be actually much more prioritized over these individuals at large, which happen to be really good at what they do, right? But coming over to the rebuttals, first being in regards to the argument that there is a lack of let's say incentive for this individual to actually work and go ahead and become a better player at last. We think that this is false because of four key reasons. First is that it's more likely to be able to hide the motive for the team win if an individual win purpose is already present, right? What this means is that we do understand the various type of incentives that are present for an individual to work for. One is surely that they gain this entire big trophy for the entire team, but second one is for this individual to actually win, let's say, the man of the tournament award or something like that. In this scenario, then, it becomes much more likely that the man of the tournament award overshadows the requirement for the very trophy, for the team trophy that is present. And why is that negative? Two key reasons for this. This is something that our first speaker also told you in the argument when they tried to push the idea that why the team is much more important than the individual at large. Two key reasons for this again, though. First being that the contractor is the team itself. That is to say, it falls under your job description as a player to make sure that this team wins. It does not fall under the job description of Virat Kohli to, let's say, win the Player of the Decade award. It does fall under his job description to win an ICC trophy for the Indian cricket team at last, to work with Rohit Sharma, to work with Shikhar Dhawan at last to gain this trophy in the very first place. But B, it fails to fulfill the purpose of this individual then, right? This individual's purpose is not only for them to win this award for themselves, but rather as in a team situation to win and actually end up doing something for this entire spectrum at large. The moment you fail to do so, then you are not a part of the wider picture. You're not that making that much great of an impact. You're actually just a minuscule goal scorer, record holder, which does not actually push in that much amount of impact of yours in international games, right? This looks like Pele always being more prominent, always being more regarded in football over Messi and Ronaldo, because even though they might have more goals than him, even though they might have more Ballon d'Ors than him, They still do not have any FIFA trophy, right? But secondly, then, note the overlapping effect that we've already told about you is not present on side proposition, right? And even though we do prioritize the need to get this main trophy, the idea of, let's say, individual effort, individual incentive is never negated. Why is this the case? Because people still would like to be the record holders. Even though they might not get trophies for these records, there still is an idea of being the one at the top of the stats, right? This looks like LeBron James even working harder and harder, even though he might not get an award back in the 1990s, right? This looks like him trying to become the best in the statistics itself. We think that this sort of individual incentive would always be present for these people. But secondly, that when we talk about national teams being present or club teams being present, being part of the team itself is an individual gain which these people look at, right? And the moment you step into a sport, the first thing that people don't have is that, oh, I'm going to be the Messi of the sport, I'm going to be the Ronaldo of the sport. It is enough for them to be a part of the national team, but this certain toxic feeling develops later, which actually diverts them from the idea of what it actually had to be done, what actually was important. But then again, why is it important for the team to be for it to be done for the team is in a second rebuttal. A second rebuttal is about the very idea of viewership that they pushed in, right? The note in argument is that rivalries between players of the same team pushes forward extra viewership. Two reasons why this works. First is that the moment your team starts to rot in itself, the moment you as a fan of the Indian cricket team, you see that the team has started to fall just because of the fact that people are not exactly working together. The team is not winning any trophy at last. It becomes very difficult for you to actually credit Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma individually. We think that the moment these people lose the amount of impact that they're giving to the Indian cricket team, they lose the amount of, let's say, spark in themselves. This looks like Sunil Chhetri being the third most goal scorer in the entire world, and yet not getting that much amount of respect in the international game just because his team is bad, right? This means the team also is attached to the amount of respect that this individual has, and it cannot be the other way around. That is to say, we would always know Spain to be a very good team. We would always know Spain as a good team in football, but we do not care if this one individual is not working properly. We just think that that is a matter of case and that it can be forgotten. The other way around, though, would always be a problem for the player to justify why their team is so bad, and it would always fall upon them. Thus, it becomes so much more important for them to be team-centric. But secondly, know that team rivalries, that is to say, a rivalry between Brazil and Germany in football, or let's say India and Pakistan in cricket, are much more exciting to people because then you see actual fights happening between people to make sure that something ends up happening, right? But then over to the stakeholders then. Note that the moment they state the stakeholders, they do not prioritize which stakeholder are we trying to profit in this entire debate, right? The issue with the characterization is that they've actually just stated it and they've not seen the impact of this very characterization. We think that because the team is the one, the team's management is the one that has the money, and secondly, the team's logo is the one that the people support. It is not Virat Kohli's jersey only. It is the Indian cricket team that is going to be represented. It is not the fact that Virat Kohli would retire in 5 years, which would stop people supporting this team. It would actually be the fact that it is the Indian cricket team that would end up making them support, because of which the team would always be at the priority. But secondly, over to the second stakeholder of the player, we've already analyzed to you that why is it essential for this player, for their own particular respect in this game, to actually gain a team trophy over this one individual award. That is to say, that is the very reason Mbappe or players like Neymar are taken into much more consideration, because of the fact that they do have a team to support them, right? The fact that they have a developed team behind them to show that yes, they are something to deal with, right? But also this very analogy that look, individual good scorers are the ones that people support, and without this you won't have this kind of support behind people. We haven't heard about many good individual scorers from Germany except Muller and Neuer, and those two also are not very prominent in the, let's say, layman knowledge of football. And even that is true for Brazil except for Neymar. Even if Neymar is not playing because of any injury, people do still support Brazil, not because of his name, but because of the fact of Brazil, right? This means that teams at the end of the day give you much more viewership just because of the fact that they are a certain team, but that players are also dependent upon these teams to actually gain that much amount of support and that much amount of fame. And that's why it is a moral obligation being put upon them to do this, right? Side opposition then needs to prove to us over here that why this moral obligation is non-existent, because it clearly isn't. be that why is it different for these players than any other random individual in the world to actually work for the job, right? That is to say that if today a software engineer says that I'm not going to do anything for Apple and you still need to give me money, that is wrong, and that is simply unjustified in the entire society, right? Why is this then not let's say constant to sports itself, even when it is also at the end of the day a job, right? But then coming over to my third and last point in regards to the argument that we're trying to push forward, right? What side proposition aims to do in this argument panel is to push a comparative between the two, right? What do the two, right? I'm just wrapping up, and this is something that my third speaker would also see upon. But like, what is the comparative between the two worlds? We have a world wherein people are trying to prioritize themselves and are yet not able to, let's say, see the highlights of it being seen in the future, wherein people do not remember Ronaldo but remember Portugal as a team because it still exists. They're still not able to credit Portugal because of the lack of FIFA cups that were for Ronaldo, right? This is something that will always be present. For example, we all know West Germany won the cup back in the 1950s. Do we know the player that won it for West Germany? That is a very priority that we have right now. It is not about the player, it's always about the team. If you are in a team sport, this incentive is always present for these players to work. The idea of being better than everyone else is always present, and the idea of working for the team in itself is a priority that they should have for their own team and for the support of the others. Be very, very proud to propose. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that speech. Speakers, please stick to the time limit. Moving on to the second speaker from opposition. Whenever you're ready, here.
Yes, just give me 30 seconds. So just before I start, I'll take verbal POIs. So if you have a POI, just interrupt me, and I'll start on the personal count of 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is how I'm going to go. I'm going to first rebut the proposition's cases, and then move on to my own argument, further elaborating on the arguments itself. Now, moving on to the rebuttals we heard, the arguments we heard from the Prime Minister. Even though my leader of opposition has already rebutted it, since the DPM decides to just ignore all those rebuttals, let me explain it further. The PM comes as the main arguments we've heard from proposition, is that people will take others' credit. That's the first point we've heard. And the second point, that this will create a rivalry. So the first point, the thing is that the entire first argument is based on the fact that everyone in the team is at the equal level. Everyone at the team plays in the same way. And it's not that a team wins because of one person. Well, you need to understand that in certain games, it actually is because of one person. And we're not saying that we're stealing credit from the other person. Rather, we still have team accolades, right? And then they come and say that people become selfish. And as I asked in the POI, the Prime Minister said they'll become selfish. Then the second speaker comes and tells us that this will overshadow the need of the team winning the award or the accolade. The thing is, that won't happen. Do you really expect any player to get the man of the tournament, as the DPM said, to get an award when the team has lost? That would not happen. For example, I'm playing football. I'll take it later. For example, if I'm playing football, I know that I need to make my team win, but still play my best so as to win the game. Then they come and tell us that this will create a rivalry because, as I asked in the POI, that everyone wants to win these awards. But the thing is, this will not create a rivalry because when you want to win an award, you basically need to at least win the tournament. The losing team of a tournament has never had a member who's probably won best man of the tournament award, right? So they know that their first priority is to, let's say, win the competition as a team. Then the second priority, to be honest, is to ensure that they play their best. And isn't that good for a team? How is that bad for the team, actually? Like, incentivizing each and every player of the team to play better. How is that bad? I fail to understand that from proposition side. Then moving on to the next point, they tell us that individual, I'll take it later. They tell us that the individual incentive is still present on their side because this way they'll get fame. And then they come and then the DPM comes and tells us that all the backlash, all the negative, people just say, let's say we'll forget it. Okay, they quote that, we'll forget it. Okay, so that is going to be answered in my argument itself. So with that, I'd like to move on to my argument. I'll take your POIs. I'll take POIs after my argument. Okay, with that, moving on to my argument, we're going to explain to you now how we incentivize the team, which the second speaker has based their speech entirely on, and I'll prove to you why it's wrong. I'll go this way, I'll prove you two problems on their side and then the solutions on our side of the house. The problem on their side is, as they said, it's a team sport, right? So you don't win entirely because of one person. And that's actually what this argument is based upon. So thank you for that, right? Because when you're saying that the team is winning not because of one person, the team does not fail because of one person. When they're saying that the team does not win because of one person, they also have to agree that the team does not fail because of one person, right? But that does not happen. Teams usually do fail because of one person's mistake. Probably that person had something on their mind. They missed a goal, they missed a shot. And that could lead to a lot of negative impression of the team. They tell us people forget it, but that does not happen. And this rather leads to a lot of backlash and a negative impression of the team as a whole. What we tell you is the solution on our side is people are judged now on their personal merit, but also on their team merit. There is personal backlash, right? Because if you're getting awards personally, you're getting the backlash personally. On their side of the house, they're getting the awards as a team, they'll get the backlash as a team. So one person's small mistake will make the team in downfall, will make the team face adverse situations. And please don't tell me that does not happen. They tell us about the Indian cricket team. Well, when the Indian cricket team lost the World Cup, people actually burned posters of MS Dhoni because they thought he was the reason they failed. So how is that correct? I fail to understand that. The solution on our side, as I explained, they are judged personal merit, personal backlash, and the team still continues to play, and the team's identity is not harmed. The second problem on their side of the house is if one of the players isn't performing well, the team knows that, hey, how much have I tried? Because let's say player X is not performing well, I'll never win the tournament. So why should I even play? Why should I even try my best to play the tournament when one of my members is not equally dedicated or is not playing equally well? Right? It's demotivating them. And their side is based on team merit. It's not based on personal merit. So even if I dedicate, let's say, 24 hours of my day to that sport, I am still not going to get anything. So what is the incentive on my side of the house? I fail to understand. On their side of the house. The solution is that here, when you're giving personal merit awards, those people still want to play. They still want to try because now they're judged on their own. They know that probably fine. My team won't play as good because of that player, but still, at least if I try well, if I try my best, I may get a personal merit. And players trying well does lead to the team doing good as a whole. And I doubt the proposition can deny that. This has two comparable results in the prop and ops world. On the proposition side, players get huge backlash. The teams get a huge backlash and players are demotivated. They say it increases competition within the team. But I already explained how this competition is actually healthy competition. You do not win a tournament without any competition, right? Do you? On our side of the world, the benefits are players get awards based on personal merit, but also on their team merit. And if one player plays bad, the team's reputation is not hurt. We benefit the stakeholders, and we also further benefit the viewers, which they fail to recognize as an important stakeholder. Because if there are no viewers viewing the sport, no one will actually want to play the sport in the first place. So you cannot say that viewers are not important. Okay, then we further explain to you why viewers are more benefited on our side of the house. They tell us that people like to say team rivalry. But I want to ask you, probably if you're not a football fan, you just know the names probably Messi and Ronaldo, right? You just know those two names. If you ask anyone now, there'll be hardly less than 10% of the people who actually know what teams these two people belong to. They know the people. You look up to people. You have people as role models. You don't have teams as role models, right? So this way, we are increasing the number of people who want to play sport because you have your idol who may probably get the award at the end of the tournament. Don't you want to watch his or her tournament? We explain to you how sportsmen are benefited. Because do you want that kind of tagline that, hey, This person is from the team who lost, this person is from the team who won. Over your head throughout the life, if you've left the team, if you're not working with the team, or something has happened and you want to remove yourself from the team, you want to detach yourself, right? We give the sportsmen individuality, we give them choice that, hey, it's fine if you want to leave it because you got that award based on your own merit, right? Your team may have got an award, but this award, it's yours based on your merit. So sportsmen have the individuality. We benefit the viewers. We make them more interested in the sport, and we also benefit the team as a whole. With that, I'd like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that wonderful speech. Inviting the third speaker from proposition to summarize side proposition here.
I'll just take 30 seconds. Okay, I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. The proposition rests their case on the assumption that personal accolades lead to motivation for every player to perform and how we must recognize talent. But I quote Michael Jordan, talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships, showing how one man or woman whose performance is outstanding will not lead to success. Good morning to the House at large, and my name is Aarav Jain. I will be doing 3 simple things in my speech. Firstly, I will be deconstructing the opposition's case by giving rebuttals, weighing, and also summarizing the proposition's points. The opposition extensively elaborated on the point of competitiveness within the team. This is something we are against. We're completely for competitiveness, but not within the teams and not excessive competitiveness. A team is supposed to work together, not against each other. For example, in football, if one player tries to score a goal on his own, going against 11 other players, he will never be successful. They need to work together to win the game. Like stated before, we maintain competitiveness on our side of the house as well. But on our side of the house, it is competition between teams, which means that this argument is not unique to the opposition. And at the same time, we're able to help teams work together and achieve the ulterior motive, which is to make sports a fair game and help people show their passion. Some specific rebuttals for the first opposition speaker. She talked about how a team would become famous due to one player. This is present on our side of the house as well, since we aren't against a ranking system for players. And anyways, teams don't need to be famous for that single player, since a team can be known for being able to win more matches than others. On our side of the house, we benefit both stakeholders, the individual and the team. The second speaker talked about why in certain games, teams can win because of one person. Take any game, for example, and you will see that it is a team effort. In football, without a goalkeeper, the other team can easily score. And without a striker, you yourself can't score. So a team is definitely necessary. Next, the second speaker talked about how winning their own accolades is a second priority for people. But do you really think this is a perfect world where people play for everyone's benefit? Do you really think Ronaldo puts winning the Ballon d'Or as the second priority? No, he is already good enough to be a member of his team. And no matter how he acts with his teammates, they won't take him out of his team. But he is out there to get more personal goals, not wins. He is not a team player. The second speaker also said how people don't know about teams, but actually only about players. My dear friend, Ronaldo is from Portugal and Messi is from Argentina. And I know this even though I don't follow football. It is not one player's effort which got Portugal and Argentina to the quarterfinals of FIFA. It is the team effort. Let's come to a few key clashes in this debate. The first clash is about where there is competitiveness. This is a key argument for the opposition, and they are not able to prove why they win this clash, since it is present even on our side of the house, since we support team-to-team rivalries. In exchange for calling this clash a draw, we definitely win the second clash, which is that where teams are actually playing to win and playing together as a team. And this, we think, is definitely much more impactful and significant in achieving the ultimate goal. In our world, teams work together, competitiveness is present, and the idea of a team sport is prioritized. The opposition world is one where a team themselves can't resolve their own problems, let alone win a match. In their world, people are selfish. In conclusion, the proposition talked about how giving one person the effort of a team is incorrect, how it creates rivalry in the team, leading to toxicity, and the importance of keeping teams at the center. We also provide a counter model which implements a solution that shows why our world is better than opposition. Our case is simple. We intend to maintain the teamwork in team sports. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that wonderful speech, inviting the third speaker from opposition to conclude the entire debate here.
Right, I'll just be taking around 30 seconds to frame my rebuttals. Right. I'll be starting in 3, 2, and just a second, the timer. Right. I'll be starting in 3, 2, and 1. Good evening to the House at large. I, as the last speaker of the debate, will first be offering some rebuttals, and then I will weigh the clashes, the main clashes of the entire debate. Right. Moving to the rebuttals first. I think one of the main clashes of this debate as such was how giving players individual prizes versus giving teams like team awards and team prizes. And well, the second one was personal accolades will cause conflicts and friction, and I'll be debating both of them. Now, coming to the second one first. The fact that personal accolades will cause conflicts and friction because people will have selfish interest due to individual awards is not going to be the case because of mainly two key reasons, right? So first of all, what you need to understand is that one person is not going to inherently sabotage someone else on the same team because we are still including team awards on our side of the house, right? So it's not as if they're going to completely disregard the team award and only work for the personal award, because that also does not go like that does not bode well for their reputation as a player either, right? And they're also trying to maintain their reputation when they play. So that's the first thing. Secondly, what we're trying to say is that, like the second speaker actually of the proposition had also mentioned, the job description of a player is to get the entire team to win, right? But what we're doing on our side of the house is that we're also encouraging them to give the best they can, even when, let's say, other members of the team are a bit discouraged or not up to the, are not on the best game on a particular day or in a particular match, we are going to ensure that at least like that one person who can actually give the best they can get will give the best that they can get so that they can like win at least an individual prize. So what we see in here is that the output of the entire team at large increases as a whole, even when, let's say, one or two people are not feeling up to the best of their abilities or best of their game. Right? Yes. Now coming on to the first flash, player versus team rivalry. What I would like to say is that if you give players fame, then the team gets fame as well. Like just like that. So the result that you get on their side of the house is also going to be present on our side of the house. Now, in like the first speaker had also talked about this, if we talk about status quo, a lot of people who don't watch football on a regular basis have heard of, let's say, Messi, have heard of Ronaldo, right? And yes, they might, and some people might know that they, what teams they represent and all the other members of that team, but that's only for people who regularly watch football, right? So, like, for example, if we're talking about individual-based competition like Messi and Ronaldo have, many people will just go to the FIFA stadiums and many people go to FIFA only to, for example, see Ronaldo personally coming into the stadium. For example, in FIFA, some time back, right now, people were applauding Ronaldo personally when he came into the field, right? So what we might say is that other members will grow resentful of this, but this is not exactly going to happen, right? Because what exactly is Ronaldo doing? Ronaldo is increasing the fame not only for himself but for the entire team at large. So like people are coming to watch Ronaldo, they're also getting to watch all of these other members of the teams, and when that happens, the other members also get that same amount of fame because their viewership is also increasing, right? So the result that they get is the result that we also get. So I think that their point does not hold true, right? Are there any points of information at this point? All right, seeing none. Right. Now, what exactly will we be doing here? Yeah, and then another clash that they talked about was competitiveness and how on that side of the house teams will be playing to win. But I don't think this exactly holds true because individuals as such, when they are working to the best of their abilities, like I've already talked about, and when they're actually like competing for a personal award, let's say Messi and Ronaldo are competing against one another for that one award, so the one like FIFA Player of the Year, players, the cup award, then what we see is increased competitiveness on both sides as well, right? Because Ronaldo will be playing to the best of his abilities. Now Messi will also be playing to the best of his abilities. And all of these other members of the team, seeing that this is their chance to shine, this is their chance to actually like gain more supporters, gain more viewership, and gain like support for themselves personally rather than as a team, they will also be working to the best of their abilities. So competitiveness is something that will be present on both sides of the house, right? Next, a big clash in this debate was how people will take others' credit and how it's always teamwork that wins. I think it was the third speaker who quoted Michael Jordan that it is teamwork that wins championships. Completely agreed, right? But what we have to understand is that even in a team, everyone is not always on the same level, right? And it's a fact. If we treat every single player as having the same capability, as having the same ability, well, that's something that's only present in a utopian world. It's not present in reality, right? So what we're exactly making them do here is that, on our side of the house, is that by, let's say, appreciating this one person as the best player of the team, we are encouraging other people to work harder so that they can reach the same level. So again, what are we doing? We're increasing output. What are we doing? We're increasing competitiveness again on our side of the house. Now, on their side of the house, for example, if we have a particular team that, let's say, only one person is really like working hard and one person is very talented, but the others aren't, what we inherently see is not that these other people actually have like this this entire incentive to really work harder. Why? Because they'll think that since only this one person is like the only talented person here, that we don't need to work any harder. So what this exactly does is that this one person who's actually talented in a team, this one person who can actually do well given the chance and given the recognition, what you're doing is that you're discouraging that one person, you're disheartening that one person from play, right? Now, yes, that's where I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that wonderful speech, and thank you all for it was an amazing debate, virtual crossovers. All right, now me and Priyanshi will go to a breakout room and then we'll discuss the verdict.